Good morning if you are joining me here on YouTube, my channel where I'm creating, sharing my world called Elsewhere. I make lots of films about it, but my prime aim is to share my books that I'm writing and illustrating. And as I do, I'm slowly creating my world in its various layers. It's really interesting. For me, I've been working on this project now for almost 50 years, which seems a bit crazy. I didn't set out to do it. It's turned out that way. But that's what I'm doing, it seems. And for the past 20 years, I've been working on a legacy project to share what I've been doing and why I'm doing it, creating another world, a different world, which is called the Realms of Elsewhere. It's been a very, very interesting journey. Not one planned, but it is what I'm doing. I think when I started, I'll just show actually, when I started I drew a map and then I drew this, 4 illustrations, this is one of them. And it was, because I'm dyslexic, I couldn't write about it, so I painted it. And I then began to sculpt it. This is an image of me working in my sculpture studio. I made lots and a great deal of houses and castles and goblins and elves and fairy people, first in stoneware and then in porcelain. And I began to realise there were certain things I could paint that I couldn't sculpt, and vice versa. And I did that from 1977 to almost completely full-time till 1993. In 1993, I became a storyteller. I wanted to write my stories, but I couldn't, so I became a storyteller instead. My collectors wanted me to tell my stories, and I began what turned out to be unplanned, but turned out to be a 30-year journey of learning how to be a storyteller. An ancient tradition that goes back to the first cave paintings, when humans were making sense of the world through painting pictures. And within those tribal groups that long ago, somebody by nature would become the storyteller. And they would relate the adventure of hunting, whether that was hunting in the sea or on the land. It would be the sharing, the collection and sharing of wisdom, and they would become manifest in a way at mythological levels, so levels of myth. Everything would have had a life to it. The clouds would have life. The stone would have a spirit. The wind would have a spirit. Life, energy. So everything came to life for these ancient people. They made circles in sacred places to honor the sun, the moon, the stars, and their own journeys. They made huge efforts to make these circles over many, many, many years, so that nobody would forget these would be the places where some of those of their tribe would tell the story as the sun rose in the middle of the year. For 3 days, the same length of time, they would measure it, they would mark it, and they would put the stones there, and that would become sacred. And with the stones came the stories, the rituals, symbols. And ever since, stories have been so powerful. So as a storyteller, I began to learn this. I was not a storyteller. I did not grow up at the knee of my grandmother or grandfather, uncle or aunt. I know people who have, First Nation American Indians, for instance, who grew up in telling stories as if they were there, a story that was depicted of 3, 5, 10,000 years ago, the freezing of the world, those kind of stories of the gods, of Woden or Zeus. These stories were often told by storytellers who had had it passed down. It would be a training. So I had to begin a training, and I did it with absolute joy, because as a dyslexic, you see images, but you can't put the words together. As a storyteller, it's the same. You don't write down things, you see images and they become part of you. So, from 1993 onwards, I began to travel and tell stories. They call it the Great Apprenticeship. They sometimes call it the 10,000 hours. You need an audience, and you need to tell your stories. 10,000 hours of it before you can really be called a storyteller. Thank you for liking my work. That is very kind. Hi, Emily. Bailey. Oh, sorry. I was not looking then. Bally. That's because my focus was down here at the time. My apologies. Anyway, so I began that journey, and 10,000 hours. At some point in the telling of stories to audiences of, say, could be 10 people, could be 300 people, there comes a point where there is no gap between you and the audience. There comes a time when the story is you, and you are the story, and the story is you. It is a remarkable moment. Everything changes. Everything. And slowly, what happens is when you come into a room, a theatre, wherever it might be, a cathedral, a boat, a piece of land, between stones, on a hill, under a tree, wherever it is, wherever it's happening, what seems to happen then is remarkable. It's almost, as I've been told, as if I had brought the bridge with me in the story, the rainbow, the old man, the old woman, the wolf, the cow, the death, immortality. All of the things enter the room, and you tell the story, and they are there. It is complete wonder. And so I did that and still do it. But in 2012, I returned to the map that I drew in 1977, and my wife said to me, so why don't you try again to write the stories? Not just the myths, the gods, but what about writing the stories now? So I began. It was very scary at first, but utterly thrilling. Hi, Tommy. Tommy Lyrics, that's a great name. This is a hello from the UK, and I'm assuming you are from the UK. I am indeed from the UK. I am in Norfolk, just on the fringes of Norwich. So yes, that extraordinary journey then began. The first book was written, full of illustrations, and it has a map in it, which is the world that I created, which goes with each book. And so now there are going to be 9 books, 4 written, and I'm each is about, I don't know, 350 pages. It's quite a lot of words, especially for dyslexic. But the joy of it is now, this 20-year legacy project, is I can take it wherever I like, and I can perform the stories, not word for word, that's not storytelling, but bring the stories from the page into the theatre, into a space where people can listen. And it's an interesting journey that I seem to have gone on. So at the moment I'm literally working on figures that I'm going to make in clay and writing their stories at the same time. One of the powerful things about storytelling and about creativity is the space, the silence between moments. The old man who walks up a hill and sees a forest of toadstools. He stands there and looks. He sees them rising above him. And then he sees a man wearing a strange hat, talking to these toadstools, walking around. And around his feet, the old man sees that there are fairy folk, hundreds of them. And the old man is old enough to know, that the fairies do not work with people easily, that they are mistrustful of people because of what they did to them long ago. So he is curious. Who is this then? He makes a sound, he goes a little closer, and Bradon Borron looks around. Good morning. The man is startled, for Bradon Borron is bowing. Good morning, he says again. What are you doing in the forest? How did you get here? The old man describes how he got in a boat, and the boat unmoored itself and came across the lake to a part of the world he'd never been in before. Ah, says Bradon Borron. That'll be them, he says, pointing down to the little folk, who are mischievous beyond belief, and dangerous, of course. Fairy people can be dangerous if you go against them, if you do something they do not like. That'll be them, said Bradon. They must have wanted you to come here. Who are you? Right. Ah, I have a friend, a Boffin, who writes. He's very clever. His name is Mr. Quillet. I don't know of him, says the strange man. Well, maybe I should take you with me. I'm heading off home soon. I need to hear. Well, that's the way it goes. I sit in a forest or on my own, and a story unfolds that has never been told before, like that one. And when I finish this live, I shall go and write something about that and consider, what did that mean? And what are the possibilities that could come out of such a thing as that? Yeah. So, that's what I do, and that's what I'm doing. I have until 2032 to finish the 9 books. I should be 80 by then. Oh my. Look at that side. Eye lol. Thank you. Yes. The eye. I've been drawing faces since I was 12 years old. And I just... At first I used to have photographs in front of me and I'd copy them. Then I started looking in the mirror and looking at people. And I realised I preferred just making them up. But I had this fascination for eyes, for the look. There is something about it. And you can transform, change, for good or bad, a personality, of the whole personality, by the look. And it makes me think, because he's got a smile, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? And because I now know who he is, and a lot of people on TikTok are kind of following this progress of the Boffins, now I know who he is. And how he was one day surrounded by fairy people. And I was doing a little meditation and was very surprised. And then one of them started to speak and said, I had a dream about you. You have special skills. And she looked at the hat and her children and the other fairies who were there, king and queen of the fairies as well. By now there were lots of them. Go on, says the king. Go on, says the queen. What is it under the hat? Well, I don't show anyone what's under my hat. Boffins don't, of course, by the way. But under your hat, said this fairy woman, a fairy wife indeed, a mother to 3. Under your hat is a piece of wonder. That's what I know. Will you not show us? She said. Yes, said the king of the fairies. I think you should. I dreamt about you, said the fairy wife again. I dreamt that you took your hat off, but I never do, said Bradon. Well, not in public. Well, I have a feeling that what's under your hat is something that we would be interested in. Very well, says Bradon. And now, as he said that, all the ancient trees in the forest pulled up their roots a little and stretched down and got a little closer until they were near him, and so came the animals, deer and badgers and foxes and wolves and bears and all manner of small ones as well, like shrews and mice. They all came and looked, hundreds and now thousands of them. What's under the hat of Bradon Borron? What's under the hat? And by now he was surrounded, but didn't mind. Very well, he said. He put his hand on the top of the hat where there were toadstools growing out. And as the hat began to lift, a little fairy boy looked up and said, Oh, look at that. Look at that. And there, underneath his hat, was the most wonderful machine, whirring and spinning, turning cogs and things and other whatevers. And what does that do? Said the king of the fairies. It makes a kind of metal, he said, and he showed them what he was doing. This metal in my pot It's a kind of cold, he said. Well, said the fairy. The king got closer, and the fairy woman, the wife herself, who'd had the dream, she said, in my dream, we worked together, and we made something. We made together a metal stronger than truth, so strong that we would be able to fight the Lord of the Shadows, the one who killed thousands of us 1,200 years ago. We've been waiting ever since for revenge. He is a dangerous, immortal, unstoppable, they say. But I had this dream of you, Mr. Bradon, and that you could make a metal, and now I see it. I know it's true. So, said the king, will we work together? Will you help us fight the Lord of the Shadows? Now, Bradon Borron, like all Boffins, lived far away from the Lord of the Shadows, but they knew about him, and there was much talk about his dangerous ways and his armies that had been coming and going and destroying different parts of the realms of elsewhere. And he knew that one day he may well come to Withycoombe, to the moors, to the homes of Ible Green and his friends and relations. Yes, he said. Of course. So it was that they agreed, and the moment became a wonder. For the fairy people made this extraordinary machine with many handles on it, and like a sieve it was, and yet it was made from the sap of nature, and as strong as any thread, and it was woven together by old fairy wives, and when it was completed, there it was. And Bradon stood there and poured his gold, and it went into this piece of magic, and there alchemy was made. And yes, as somebody just said, don't forget to hit the like, everyone. Thank you very much for that. And this is the magic moment of all things. Fairies are very wary of others. But this moment when the two came together, alchemy was made. And a metal was forged that day, stronger than truth itself. Nothing could destroy it, and especially nothing that belonged to the Lord of the Shadows. But, said the Fairy King, we must not let him know that we are about our business. We must do this in secret. In every corner of the world we shall go. And Mr. Borron here, you will help us. He looked down at them all, there in their thousands, all so small compared with him, yet he was small too. Let the small rise up, he said. Let us fight this Shadow Lord before he destroys us. Let us keep it secret. So in every forest and every glade, wherever he could travel, and those he taught to do this, there they made the metal, and there they forged it into weapons. We must defend ourselves, for he will come with us at a mighty force. His unnatural storms, his dangerous ways. And so from that time on, Bradon Borron began to work hard. He would come and go from Ible Green, and he began in secret to tell his friends, the other Boffins, his business, and he taught them his skills, so that they could travel here and there in their little carts from one place to another, all the way to the far lands, where the past and the future live. And there the story went from ear to ear to ear, always in secret, Make the metal. Make the metal stronger than truth. Here and there they made their spears and swords and blades and arrows, all in secret, until they would be ready. For that time will come. For sure it will. And so it was, and so it is, and that's what will happen today, and tomorrow, and next week, until the Lord of the Shadows decides it's time to destroy the world. His armies are building, grown loud beneath the earth is growing, and he has captured all but one of the cups of the future, the cups of Orn, the cups made by the daughters of heaven. And only one still escapes him, the last cup, the finest cup. It rides around the world with a great forest being pulled by 100 reindeer, a forest of war to protect the last cup. But the rest of the cups have been caught and now live below in the chambers of hell with the sisters of hell, the Lord of the Shadows, fearful of what's inside of the cups, the shattered future, the shattered stone of destiny. The Lord of the Shadows has learnt that though he is immortal, that which is inside of the cups, the shattered pieces of the stone of destiny, have light in it, and the light was here before the darkness. It was the light that made the universe, and it was the light that caused him a wound that has been bleeding ever since he took to the battlefield. And the last cup was spilled before him and his armies. The armies were sent asunder, but he looked at his chest and saw on his hand blood, and knew from that moment on that the light was dangerous. But it was true. He knew that he had to find the last cup so that the stone of destiny could not be rebuilt. And so it is that out there he hunts down the last cup. If he can find it before anyone else, if he can find it before they make their gold and their weapons, he will destroy everything. And the hidden destiny will never unfold. And the hidden destiny of the boy whose mother gave her life, who whispered a secret in his ear as he was born. The mother who looked at her son and nothing else, who left her son with a secret that no one knew, and still they don't. But one day, soon, that boy now, an elvish prince, will begin to remember his mother's words, wrapped in secrets, thousandfold. Soon he will remember. And the blade that he holds, that was made before the darkness came, a blade as sharp as this gold. All these things will come together, and those fighting for the light will try to build a bridge to heaven, heaven in the sky. And all of that will unfold. And that's about the story, or the hidden destiny indeed. And the second book is called, which is all about people like Bradon, it's the uprising. And those who manifest what they do and do what they do. And the drawing side, this is a pen and ink. That's a pen and ink, actually, thinking about it. And so I am having interesting times writing and illustrating my books. And this is the leading character who has the secret but has not yet remembered it. And this is Rameshara, the 6-foot-long bee who is a wonderful character. I really enjoyed it when he came into my world and my imagination. And a squadron of umbrellas to protect the island of Humble. So an uprising begins against the Shadow Lord. So I hope you like that tiny little peek into the realms of elsewhere. If you did, please let me know. Oh, thank you, Dancer. And do share with others. And 2 or 3 times a week I will be doing lives on here. I will schedule them as well. But I'm continuing to do my stories on TikTok because I have a beautiful, very lovely community on there. And it is, I feel very honoured to be doing what I'm doing. So, have a good day. This live will be logged in and you'll be able to follow it. I will see you again. Take care. And if you want to become part of Elsewhere, just contact me at www.pauljacksonIsElsewhere.com. Enjoy your day.